Yes, we were just reading the top. There's a little detail here we want to go into. This is the tefillah, the Shem Shem Yichud. So he said the Shem Yichud Kudsha Barichu B'Shchinte. That phrase. I'm just reading across the top now. And then he says, and it goes like this: after you say you're gonna make a yichud basically between Zachav and Noach, that concept. Just a second here. He says that the next thing is say b'dechilu u'lechimu, and then you repeat it backwards. U'lechimu u'b'dechilu. So we know this because we've seen it in the Matbea Bracha, which is a part, of course, a big part of Chanukah. But then he actually shows us the shilov on the top of the combination of Avaya Ekya, and then Ekya Avaya goes two different ways, the Ached, and as a result of this, when you say this, your purpose of doing this is to perfect the Tikkun in the first two letters of the Tetragrammaton, and then the last two letters, those two, to make a whole name, which is Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Ayidei Shefa de Ein Sof Hamashpia Bechem Amiyachdam. So let's go over here, and what I wanted to do today was look at the Shefa, because there's a question is, why do you need both of those? There is perhaps an obvious answer, or maybe it's not so obvious. Let's look at number Daled, which is really where we started yesterday. It says, so previously on number Gimel, I'm sorry, I just went a little bit further. Let me see what I got here. He says, number Gimel says, B'dechilu U'rechimu, this is Abba Ve'ima, and then he shows it to you. Then we're down here in number, the opposite of it. We're going to do U'rechimu U'dechilu. Ima starts with Ima, and then Abba, and it goes like that. So he writes on number Daled, Huba B'chilisa Yichud Hasheni, this is the second Yichud, Nikbach Yichud Panimi Shal Abba Ve'ima. This is called the Yichud Panimi. Shemedechidach b'kodem kodem im rachimo shuhu ima v'hu shem akya v'achar kach mashalavim as adechila. Then we mix it in to the dechilu, as we know about this. So he's explaining and saying what it is. Shuhu abba shem havaya. So this is abba, the shem havaya. And this completes the yichud all around. Chitzoni upenimi v'yidecha b'yichud abba v'ima nimshach hashefa l'zer anpin v'lenuk, and as a result of that, now you have to do it twice, he says, she'asach hayichud shalachem b'koch asiyas mitzvahs, and then the yichud actually takes place. What we're really interested in here is what takes place afterwards. Now, let me see, I think where I want to go, I could read a little bit more. Number Hay says the Yachta Shem Yud-Kei, so make a Yichud in the name Yud-Kei, which is Abba Ve'ima, B'Vav-Kei, which is Zun. So we'll read over here, and then we'll come back and look at the Shefa that he has here. I think he calls it the Shefa, yeah. He says, Achre ha-yichud, so after this yichud that we're talking about, shall Abba v'ima b'yichud b'nimi v'yichud chitzon, l'tzorech yichud zer anpin, and you have to do this in order to promote a yichud with zer anpin. So he says, yichud zer anpin v'nuk. Mekuvanim la'asos yichud shall shnei ha-bechinos b'yachad. So the idea is that you're going to do these two different aspects together. Shem Abba v'Ima Yachad im Zer Anpin v'Nuk. So that's the two aspects he wants to talk about, is the Yud K with the Vav K. Shetzarich l'cham shek shefach hayichud shal Abba v'Ima l'Zun v'l'kach, and then therefore tzrich l'kavan la'asos yichud shal Shem kavaya b'shleimo. So the idea now is that you want to have this idea is that you're talking about from up above, and then you're talking about down below. That's Yud K and then Vav K. But actually it becomes to one idea. Shehu, let me say, Shehu Yichud Shal Shnechem Yachad, putting both of them together. Yishem Havaya Nifra L'Shnei Cholokim. So you take the Havaya, it actually goes in two parts. Chetzeh Rishon Shehu Yak, Romez al Ava Be'ima, V'chetzach Hasheni Shehu Vavke, Romez al Zun, V'chayichud Shal Ava Be'ima B'yachad, Im Zav V'nok, Na'asa Ayidecha B'yichud Shal Osius Yud Ke Shehem Hashem Yud, which is Abba K, which is Ima, Ba'osius Vav, Shehu Zer Anpin, and Hey, which is the Nook. It bring the whole flow of the Shefa down. V'zeh Na'asa Chakibud Shalem Shal Shem Shal Kol Osius Shem Avaya, V'nimshach HaShefa B'kol Olamos, and this is what caused the Shefa to go everywhere. So let's come over and let's look. Let's see what I can do with the Shefa Rashash. I'm going to start on number Gimel. So first he had already said B'dechida B'dechimel, which we agreed that this is Abba beginning with Abba mixing into Ima, and then you have Rechima B'dechilo. That's Ima starting with Ima and mixing in with Abba. So we have seen things like this before, where we talk about the Yichud of Zun, where they're inside of each other, that they make a oneness. Now, that could be like we talk about, but he's going to say a little bit differently. He says in the Biur here, he says, Inyan Brachima Dechido B'Dechido Brachima. Let's talk about that. So he says, Ayin Bishar, let me bring this down a little bit more. So he said, Mayin Bishar, my Mari Rashbi, Shakasa Vizel Deshana, Omer Shmuel, Od Mitzase Drush Acher. I found another drush on this. I just let me explain this. He said, Kemavur Kemavur, Anikiskada Rav Agodol Zilha. So apparently that he must mean the Ari. The Sechel Deshono Yud this fled Yud Vav Dalad represents Yira. V'do Ihu al Reshe de Barnash, and this Yira, I don't know what this means exactly, but he says it's on the head of a man. The Hey is Ava. That's just something opposite. It's well, let's say it's not fear, it's love, fear and love. Hidarebekan mashma ki Abba v'yira heim ima da Ava Abba. So if you say it that way, then you have Ima and then you have Abba. Okay, we got cut off there, so we'll go right away over here and call back. Take a drink in the meantime. Okay, we're back again. Let me see, what did I do? Let me say, he says, let's go back up. Amar Shmuel, Od Mitzase Drush Acher b'mayim b'chanizko l'charav v'godol zolho. V'secha Deshono Yud is Yira v'do ihu kol Reshe de Barnash, and this refers to v'do ihi, then this al Reshe is on the head of a man's head. It's up above him. It's the fear of what's above you. Then the letter Hey, which comes after it, really refers to Ava. Inekan mashbe ki Ava v'yira heim ima v'Abba, if you look at it in that way. You see that too. The itstrich liyachtara b'leiv l'kudcher b'richu b'dechilu l'chimu. So he's just saying, so where do we see this in the Tikkunim? So you have to have both fear and love. V'amnam b'maimer acher kasa v'chufucha. Then there's another place where it says the opposite. V'higdim b'chimu d'dechida v'cha'inyan. So this is what we want to know. So why is it? What's the symptonymius on this? So Yirtzadah, so if you want, let's think about this. So if the Yira comes from Kasa, meaning to say, I think, meaning to say that it's beyond really our ability to be able to understand. It's like an area where there's Shefa coming at you, but you know where it's coming from or what it has, and as a result of that, it produces fear of what's up above you, or what's beyond you, let's say that. But that's another word. Ki ein lo yira min Abba. She doesn't have yira from Abba shehu baila. She ein lo. She doesn't have that. Yesh lo. What does she have? Lo ava imo. She has a love with him. And I guess she meant to say that she doesn't fear her husband, let's say so to speak, but she actually loves him. So in regards to the yichud, it's necessary to do both. So you start like that. So let me explain. He says, he named the Tiyachid La Kodesh Baruch V'Shchinte, which is there Anpin V'Nukve. Now he says this is the first thing. Ki Hinei B'Dechila, the first thing you do starts right at the bottom. So Yedecha B'Dechila B'Dechima Shehem Abba V'Ima, and then through the Yichud of Abba V'Ima, which is Dechilu and Rechimo, then that's going to be the second point. That sounds like he's saying first you have the bottom, or the arousal from the bottom, and then you have what happens up above it and bringing Shafa. Now he needs to explain. So Pipirish Kashet Yache the Zer Anpin V'Nukve, Tzark Shete Yache B'Dechila Ches Abba V'Ima. So he says a little differently. He says first you have to have that Shafa there. Gedei Sheyashpia HaMochen the Zer Anpin V'Nukve. So as a result of this, you make a yichud between Zer Anpin and that is the male and the female aspect here. Gam heim. So first you have to do that first. Why? Because it starts with he's panimi to ima, and so therefore he's going to be mashpia to her in order to get the ball rolling. V'ima knows name the zecha v'nukve, and Ima then turns around and she gives it to her children. But then after that, as we understand, you're going to come and do another yichud v'takdim Ima la'aba, and you're going to put Ima first. So that means that love would come first before you would have fear. So small tachas the rosh. Now this is the part that I'm still a little bit vague about. What is it when you put the left side, which is Ima, first before the right side? It becomes the secret of what we know as the left arm underneath my head. So that's what it is. You start with the left arm then, and you're starting going to a certain type of a hug. He who sewed hachibuk. Let's see, I'm losing the place here. He says, he sewed achibuk b'tekilos tzarek lachamshik, or the ima is small. So this is the concept of a hug. The hug is that with the way the hug works, or the ima is small. It starts b'techila tzarek lachamshik, or the ima is small of the zer anpin kadesh yaskel lachabek as nuk. So he says in this case, you're going to start off with Ima being mashpia to Zer Anpin, but on his left side. Bibichilas small of the tachlis roshi, and then that strength in his left side will allow him to begin the process of yichud with the nuk. V'achakach yikavid b'dechila shuhu abba lachamshik orur shel chayomim, which is chesed the Zer Anpin, and the kayim azab and nuk on this particular phrase. So it starts out with the hug on the resha for the left side, and then it comes around to another one that you're going to bring this in. I really would like to know more about how this works, but the language is poetic, and it means this v'yamin tach b'keni. Now you have the left side starts out with that hug on the around the neck, and then or the upper hug around the head, maybe I don't know. And then moving on, then you're going to bring down the right side. Adkan l'shono. Vayin od shambach shecharich lebayir shezechu sod Rosh Hashanah. Then he goes over there and he starts saying like this: that this is the secret of Rosh Hashanah. What's that? V'sukkos. He said v'ramazal sikem ha'inyan bekitzer b'sifro archei hakinuyim. I can more or less say the same thing. We'll see what he said, but he brings it over here too in the Ramaz. He says, it gives a site reference. He said, no, this is a quote now from him. But there's another place over there. We see that. So basically it's the same idea, but here we're seeing it in the Ramaz. But the only way that you can actually make an ultimate yichud is this way. It's a complete combination from, let's say, to right to left and then left to right. So he said, the thing I've already told you about here, okay, so going through the same idea, but we'll hear it. V'chavibina ava, then the bina is going to be ava. Vein la'arech ata b'zeh. So I don't want to go into that anymore because we just went through a little drush there. V'amnam, but let's see what he says. Amnam dechila tzarak liyachid kudsha berich v'shchinte. Now he said it more like the way I heard it there. He says that so it sounds like you have to have an hisaris lamata in order to be able to bring down the shefa from above. That's what it sounds like to me. Let's see. Ve'en l'charik l'zeh v'am l'chabdechida tzarak liyachid kudsha berich v'shchinte. That's zachav v'nok to make a yichud. Shehem teferes and malchus. Then you come back in that way, the fear and the love. Shehem Abba ve'ima. That when you make a yichud with them, so the same thing, this causes a yichud to take place. My words, gam Abba ve'ima kedei l'seis koich b'mochin. Because once they're together, and I'm really wondering, does he mean that they're together here? A yichud in katnas, because they still don't have the mochin to godless. So there's some yichud, which could be that you could make sense out of that from the first three parts, the first two parts anyway, the davening, Psuki de Zimra, what's come before the karbanas and Psuki de Zimra, any yichud that comes out of that is going to go upwards. So therefore Abba is the first step. From there goes into Ima, the Ima Chanasanis Alabonim. Okay. But then you have to bring the other one in. So he says, now let me see how we could do this. He says, it's the same idea that we saw, but this is the way that it goes this way. He says that I thought that he said, I'm not sure, remember exactly, but I thought he said that these two ideas are taking place at the same time. Instead of like thinking of it, we're learning it sequentially, maybe they're taking place at the same time. See, he said, Anpin. So this is a way of saying that the left side is going to start first. It can't be the right side starts first and the left side starts first. That's why I said, I think it must mean that they actually working at the same time. So he said, why is this? Small, because when we talk about the hug are really getting close together, it needs to start out from the left side. That's what he says. So again, we're into the concept of how yichud works. So, okay, so I can understand the left side. So the left side means that we have to start with the left and then go to the right. That's berachim udechilo. Then you go to the hamshech ma'ava el chesed zer anpin. You're going to bring from Abba into the chesed zer anpin. So now you have the second part of it. Now again, it seems to me that this is like sequential. First you do the left, then you do the right. But he previously had first you do the right, then you do the left. So how's it go? Even though we said that this is going to be, underneath my head, Tehillah is order this mechayomin, but the beginning of the arousal has to come from the left, from the right. Now I'm trying to think through this. He said, I'll read again. He says, "V'afal pi she'anu oimrim smolo tachas the roshi." So that's what we're saying. He says you need to start with the hugging around the head by the left arm. Im kalzech techilas is orders ba mechayomin, but we know that his orders for what? For yichud has to come from the right. He chachma, which is chachma. Let's read this little parenthesis. I'm not sure what's in it. The Indian das nira dasi. So niyazdait. I'm sorry. It says a shazera besod ivduras Hashem biyira. Ratzon loma liyachid kudsha berich v'shkinte midekida b'dekidu rechimu. So now it sounds like what he's saying. He says the first thing you have to do is make a yichud in kudsha berich v'shkinte. This is zachar v'nok, the vav k. So first you have to, in order to make that happen. So how does that work? So that's where Yira starts. V'gilu barado. So then he says after that you have ki pam shnia tzarak liyached b'dechila b'dechila. So you have to go the other way. Shehu gila barado. So this, I guess, is love with fear. So not sure exactly that I got this 100%. I mean, you can't, unless I answer that they're actually basically taking place at the same time, but within the two of them, the Yisoris has to come from the right side. But then the question is then we're also doing it from the left side. So Chavitam Sheni, here's another reason. And so this other simpler answer, I think, that since Abba ve'Ima ARI are always traveling together, Nafkin ukahad sharim, and they live together. Veinim ispardim laolam. So maybe I got it from here. Maybe they never separate. Kach tzarik laavod as Hashem b'yira. So that's the same thing. Is that as you're serving Hashem, you have to have the yira chavilacha b'yira levachas v'shalom el v'giva b'rada. But should have this love mixed into this sphere. Because that's what you have to do. And so now that's like the very beginning of a question that was always asked or wondered about in the Matbea Bracha. Why do you start with what's the significance of going right left and then left right? Okay, so let's see, where are we? So now we're on the phrase up here and up here at the top, and it says B'yichud Shalem Havaya B'Shem Kol Yisrael. So that's number Vav down below. And number Vav down below says like this: B'yichud Shalim B'Zeshem Yisyachid Osius Yud K B'Osius Vav K. That's what he's referring to. Shu Abba V'Ima B'Zer Anpin V'Nuk. Na'asacha yichud shall call Shem Havaya. You make a complete yichud of all the name Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei Hanikra Yichudim Shlim. That yichud is called complete. So he said b'Shem called Yisrael. Then the rest of it is you have to say b'Shem called Yisrael. I'm not sure what that means. He said called the yichud v'Rabbi Mitzvahs Na'asa b'Shem called Yisrael. So that is our kavanah. That when we do this, we're doing it. I'm not sure what it means though either. What he means by Shem Kol Yisrael, that is that you're doing this for every Jew. Is that what he means? He said, so that's all it always it has to be. But these two different things. Not sure what he means there either. But called mitzvahs na'asis b'shem Kol Yisrael, and all the mitzvahs are named for all the Jews. Shenekhalim Kol Yisrael. So he's answering my question. So Shenekhalim Kol Yisrael are yedera b'mitzvahs v'avach z're'echa kamocho shemekabel v'dera b'tefillah. Now, exactly the sequence of how he's answering this, let's finish. I want to read it one more time. It's just a little bit of pieces here. He says, "Call the Yehuda mitzvahs na'asa b'shem called Yisrael." That's what we do when we do every mitzvah. He says, "Call a Yehuda." All the mitzvahs are done by all the Jews. In other words, your kavanah is for everybody. That their relationship should be ba'ava uv'achdos, a complete total love and oneness. For called mitzvahs na'asas b'shem called Yisrael. So therefore, every mitzvah is going to be done for everybody. Shenechlalim called Yisrael ayedera b'mitzvos v'ahavat l're'ech kamocho. Now, this just seems a little bit off, slightly for me. So he said, because I'm still thinking about what happened. What happened to the Hilu part? What was the first one? Maybe I got it backwards. Yeah, okay, so the Hilu part. We have it over there. Let's go on a little bit more. Let's read number Ches. He says, so that's going to be the next thing that we're going to do. And we're going to actually be able to look at this. Let's see, we're running out of time. Ner Chanukah, the Saken, as Sharsha b'makom elyon. This is all the continuation of that idea. But call mitzvah sha'osim, every mitzvah that one does. Hakavanot she'al yedera b'kayim kiyum ha-mitzvah nisorder l'malach b'cholomas elyonim. Shesham hu shorish mitzvah. So what you're doing is you're trying to make a yichud from where the mitzvah, the idea, the essence, and the mitzvah comes from, the seed, the kernel that will manifest itself in your action. V'liyachtem al yedecha b'kiyam mitzvahs, and then bring them together. Now, that's really what you're doing. This is all a kavanah that one should have when he's going to do a mitzvah. V'laham shech shafim misham v'kol ha'olamo shalamada. We have one more. Okay, that's the shir. That's all of our shirim I think we're going to do on Chanukah. This is a little bit advanced because one needs to have an idea what's going on in this bracha that we're about to make, and brachas in general, which are called the matbea bracha. So matbea is usually a coin. I guess it means the stamp or the. I don't know exactly why they use the word matbea. Nobody told me that. That's all I know to try to figure out why a coin. The coin is the bracha. Meaning, I think it just means that this is, use it over and over again. It's the same value. That kind of thing. That would be my answer. Anyway, this is Baruch Fleischman, and this is the Tikkun Elevator Kolo.